As soon as I opened the front door, I could hear them arguing. Recently, it was all they seemed to do.
Why do you always have to complain about everything?
Well, if you weren't so lazy, I wouldn't have to complain, would I?
It made me so sad that my parents seem to hate each other. You're probably thinking this is just another story about a miserable family. Well, just wait and see what you find out at the end of this video, because you are not gonna believe it.
Well, if that's what you think about me, maybe I should just move out.
Do you know that's the most sensible thing you have said in a very long time?
So that's what my dad ended up doing. I was upset that my parents were getting a divorce, but I knew it was for the best. They couldn't carry on living together when all they did was fight. When the day came for my dad to leave, my parents told me that I had to decide who I wanted to live with.
You are old enough to make your own decision. You must decide who you want to live with, me or your father.
But how could I make that choice? I loved both of my parents. How could I pick one over the other? So I decided I would just leave it to chance. I can't choose between you two, so I'm gonna flip a coin. If it's tails, I live with Dad. If it's heads, I will live with you, Mom. I spun the coin high up into the air and watched as it spun around and around before finally catching it on the back of my hand. I lifted my hand up and looked at the coin. Tails.
So you will go with your father?
I looked at Mom sadly. I'm gonna miss you, Mom.
Don't be silly. We will see each other all the time. You can still come over and stay with me.
I gave my mom a hug and Dad and I left. At first, it was a bit strange living with just my dad, but before long we settled into our routine and it was all fine. To be honest, it was nice just living in a house with no arguing or fighting. I went to see my mom whenever I could and she seemed a lot happier too. But then one day, things changed. I had just got home from school and was in the kitchen making a sandwich when I heard my dad come in.
Beth, come here. There's someone I want you to meet.
I went through to the lounge and saw my dad was there with a woman.
This is Riza. She's my girlfriend.
Your what?
My girlfriend, Beth.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What does he want a girlfriend for? I wanted to tell him that he shouldn't have a girlfriend, that it would just ruin everything, but instead I just smiled at her. Hi, pleased to meet you.
And I'm very happy to meet you too, Beth. More than you will ever know.
That's a bit weird.
I'll leave you two to get to know each other. I'll just go and make us a cup of tea.
My dad left the room and I sat down on the sofa, not really knowing what to say.
You're very pretty, Beth.
Oh, thank you. She reached over and started touching my hair. I started getting a bit freaked out, but luckily my dad came back just in time.
So, you two getting along okay?
Brilliantly, aren't we, Beth?
Yeah, I guess so. There was something really strange about Riza. I couldn't put my finger on it, but she was definitely a bit weird. She was paying me far too much attention. It made me feel really uncomfortable. From that day on, Riza spent all of her time at our house, and the weird feeling didn't go away. In fact, it got even more intense. Sometimes I would look up from watching TV or reading a book and catch her staring at me. It really freaked me out. It all came to a head one Saturday evening. Dad and Riza had gone out for dinner and I had decided to have an early night. I was fast asleep in bed when something suddenly woke me. I opened my eyes and I saw Riza standing at my bedroom door just staring at me. I closed my eyes, but when I opened them again, she had disappeared. What is it with that woman? Why does she constantly stare at me? The next morning, when I was alone with my dad, I told him about what had happened the night before. It's just weird, Dad. She was just standing at the doorway staring at me.
Don't be silly, Beth. Riza wouldn't do that. You must have been hallucinating.
Maybe my dad is right. I mean, I suppose it could have just been a dream. I decided to give Riza the benefit of the doubt. I mean, apart from the staring, she seemed nice enough. And my dad really liked her, so she couldn't be all that bad. Could she? It was nearly the end of the term when my dad told me he had a surprise for me.
We are going to go away in the holidays.
Where to?
We are going to Riza's hometown.
Where is it?
A long way from here. It's down south. It's a remote town in the middle of nowhere. It's going to be a fantastic adventure.
Even though I would have preferred to be going on holiday just with my dad, I couldn't help but get excited at the thought of traveling somewhere far away. I can't wait. I bet it'll be amazing there.
I think you might be right.
When the morning of our holiday arrived, the three of us packed up the car and set off on the long drive south. As we drove, the cities turned into towns and then to remote villages. Are we nearly there?
Not much further.
The roads started getting narrower and narrower until eventually they just became tracks through the grass.
We're here.
I looked out the car window. This looks more like a jungle than a remote town. We got out of the car.
Follow me.
I looked at my dad. Was it just me that thought Riza was sounding really weird and acting strangely? It was like she was a different person. But my dad didn't seem to notice. He just walked after Riza, beckoning me to follow them. We walked through the jungle and came out onto a clearing. There was a group of people standing there as though they were a welcoming party. I was expecting them to crowd around us and say hello, but instead one of them shouted,
Grab her!
The next thing I knew, I was surrounded by them, and they were dragging me away from my dad and Riza. What are you doing? Stop it! But they didn't listen to me. They pushed me into some kind of cage and locked the door.
Leave her alone! Riza, why are they locking Beth up?
Because she is special.
I saw the look of confusion on my dad's face.
Well, I know she is special to me, but why do they think she is special?
Because she has the rarest body in the world.
I wondered what on earth she was talking about. My body was just like anyone else's body. Definitely nothing special.
What do you mean?
Her mother was from the jungle as well, and you have the blood of the ancient ancestors from this jungle too. Together, you made the only child in the world to have this DNA.
But what are you going to do with her?
We are going to sacrifice her to the gods.
Panic started rising up inside me, and I thought I was gonna pass out. I could see the worried look on my dad's face when he heard what Riza was planning.
You have to release her. Set her free right now.
I'm sorry. We are not going to do that. She is too important to us.
But she is just a schoolgirl.
To you, maybe. But to us, she is the most important girl in the world.
Please, don't hurt me. I'll do anything you want. Please, don't sacrifice me.
I'm sorry. We don't have any choice.
Dad? Help me! Help me! My dad took one look at my panic-stricken face and ran towards the cage. He started pulling at the door, trying to break it open, but it was no use. Within seconds, he was surrounded by the villagers. They unlocked the door and threw him inside the cage with me. I ran over to him. Are you okay, Dad?
I'm fine.
The two of us sat huddled together watching and wondering what was about to happen next. Riza came over and stood outside the cage.
Don't try to escape because you won't get anywhere. I will see you in the morning.
With that, she turned around and walked off with the group of people. Oh, Dad, what are we gonna do?
Don't worry, Beth. I won't let anything happen to you.
But you heard what she said. There's no way for us to escape from here.
We will find a way. Don't worry.
The two of us sat there in the darkness. I was terrified. And suddenly, I heard a noise. Did you hear that? What was it?
I don't know. It came from that direction.
I looked to where my dad was pointing. It was pitch black, but I thought I could make out a shadow in the darkness. Who is it? Shh. Mom? I couldn't believe it. My mom was standing on the other side of the cage. What are you doing here? How did you know where to find us?
One of my close friends here in the jungle told me that my daughter and my ex-husband were here in the jungle. I just had a feeling that Riza was up to no good. I got here as soon as I could.
They said I have some rare body. They want to sacrifice me to the gods.
You have to get us out of here.
Okay, just stay quiet. I will look for something to break the lock.
Dad and I sat there in silence. It seemed like an eternity, but then my mom reappeared.
Stand back. I'm going to smash the lock with this stone.
Dad and I moved to the back of the cage, and I watched as my mom lifted the huge stone up into the air and brought it crashing down onto the lock. The lock smashed into pieces, and Mom quickly opened the door.
Come on. We don't have much time. We have to get out of here.
My dad pushed me out of the door, and I followed my mom through the jungle. I could hear shots from behind us.
Hurry. They know we have escaped.
We picked up the pace and raced through the jungle, but just as we were about to reach my dad's car, someone stepped out of the shadows.
Riza!
Stop! You can't leave. We need her.
You're crazy, Riza. You can't sacrifice my daughter.
I can and I will.
Is that the only reason you wanted to be my girlfriend? So that you could get close to Beth?
I admit that was the reason at first, but then I started to fall in love with you.
Well, if you love me, then let Beth go.
Riza looked like she was considering it, but then she just laughed.
You don't think I would put you before the gods, do you? You're the crazy one.
My dad looked at my mom and me and then reached inside his pocket. He threw his car keys to my mom.
Go! Take my car and get Beth out of here!
But what about you, Dad?
Don't worry about me. I will stay behind to block Reza and her people.
I stood there hesitating.
Go on, there's no time to lose.
Your dad is right, Beth. We have to get you out of here.
I love you, Dad.
I love you too.
Mom and I ran ahead and jumped into Dad's car. She started the engine and drove off just in time. As we drove away, I could see through the rear window the villagers running after the car. I can't believe Dad sacrificed himself to save us.
Your dad is a good man, Beth.
I looked at my mom, but I thought you hated him.
No, Beth, I don't hate him. Actually, I still love him, but we just couldn't live together.
Do you think he'll be okay?
Don't worry. As soon as we get to the next town, I'm going to stop and call the police. They will find him.
Mom did exactly what she said. As soon as we reached the first town, she drove straight to the police station.
I have to report a crime.
What is it?
The villagers from my hometown tried to sacrifice my daughter to the gods. Her father stayed behind to block them so that we could escape. You have to go back and save him.
That was 2 months ago. We still haven't heard any word from my dad. The police are still out looking for him. They think that he managed to escape from the villagers, but they have no idea where he is now. I can't stop thinking about what he did for me, and I just pray that one day the police will rescue him and bring him home to me.
Life was pretty tough for me growing up. You see, I didn't live a normal life like you probably did. I lived alone on a deserted island. I'm not really sure how I came to be there. It wasn't something I really thought about. I didn't have to sit and wonder about my life, because I had to spend every waking minute looking for my next meal. I couldn't go to a supermarket or get takeaway. I had to hunt and fish and eat whatever I could find. But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, or you might end up living on your own desert island. The first thing I did when I woke up every morning was go down to the ocean and try to spear a fish. It wasn't easy. The fish were really fast, but I persevered, and sometimes I got lucky. I lived off wild berries and plants that grew on the island. Sometimes I would come across a bird egg in a nest, and I would cook it over a fire made from twigs. I had made a shelter to sleep in, but it wasn't very comfortable, and when it rained, the water would come running through the ceiling and soak me in my bed. Sometimes when I was lying there, I would imagine that one day someone would come and rescue me. But of course, that never happened. I tried not to think too much about the future because if I did, it would make me depressed. Instead, I just concentrated on my daily tasks. One of my biggest concerns was finding fresh water to drink. One time I ran out of water and was so thirsty that I drank some water from the ocean. Oh, was that a big mistake. I was so ill, I just lay in my shelter for about 3 days. I honestly thought I was going to die, but I didn't. I knew that I had to find a way to catch the rainwater, so I collected coconut shells and laid them out on the floor. When it rained, they filled up with water, which was safe for me to drink. Sometimes I would see a boat sailing by in the distance. The first few times it happened, I would run down to the shore and wave my arms in the air, frantically trying to get their attention. But they never saw me, so eventually I gave up even trying. I would just sit and watch until the boat disappeared over the horizon. Life on the island was pretty boring. It was the same thing day in and day out. Get up, make a fire, go find something to eat. Come home, cook, eat, and sleep. I thought nothing exciting would ever happen to me, but I was wrong. One day, everything changed. The day started off just like any other day. I woke up as soon as the sun's rays came piercing through the gaps in my shelter ceiling and began to make the fire. Once the wood was alight, I picked up my spear and walked down to the ocean. The water was crystal clear, and as I waded out to the deeper water, I could see hundreds of fish darting this way and that. I lifted my spear into the air and waited for the perfect moment to strike. But suddenly, I heard a strange noise coming from under the water. I was about to dive under to investigate when I felt something wrap itself around my legs. The next thing I knew, I was being dragged under the water. Ah! I didn't realize at the time, but I later found out that I had been caught in a fishing net. As I struggled under the water trying to break free, I suddenly felt myself being pulled up to the surface. I gasped for breath and was shocked to see a woman standing in front of me. What? Who? Where did you come from?
I was sailing past and I saw you. Lucky for you, I'm here to rescue you.
I can't believe it. I've dreamt of this moment for so long, but I thought it would never happen.
Well, it has happened. I'm gonna take you home and you can live with me.
It was all so surreal. One minute I was all alone on my island, and the next I was sailing away on her boat to a new life. When the boat docked, I looked around. Everything was so different to my island. For one thing, it was so noisy. Everywhere was the sound of traffic and people. It hurt my ears. Why is it so loud?
What? It's not loud. It's always like this. Don't worry, you'll soon get used to it.
Everything felt really strange to me. I had never been in a car before, so the first time she started the engine, I nearly jumped out of my skin. What's that?
It's my car. It's how we get around in the city.
As we drove through the streets, I gazed out of the car window, taking in all the sights. I couldn't believe how many people were around. They were rushing here and there like tiny ants running through the jungle. When we arrived at her house, she showed me to my room.
You can sleep here. The bathroom is across the hallway and my room is at the opposite end.
Thank you, it's amazing.
Take a shower and then come downstairs. I'll have your dinner ready for you.
As soon as she closed the bedroom door, I threw myself on the bed and gazed up at the ceiling. It was the first time in my life that I had had a proper roof over my head. Is this actually really happening? I pinched myself to make sure I wasn't dreaming. Nope, it's not a dream. When I came downstairs, I could see the woman was in the kitchen.
Come on, your dinner's waiting.
Thank you, ma'am.
You can call me Mom.
It felt a bit strange to me to call her that, but after everything she had done for me, it was the least that I could do. Okay, Mom, thank you. She put the plate down in front of me. When I saw what was on it, I was shocked. It was a plate full of worms.
Come on now, eat up.
I picked up the fork and began to eat the worms. To be honest, I was just grateful to have someone provide me with a meal instead of me having to go and hunt for something. I didn't question whether or not it was a normal meal.
Tomorrow you start school. I've called the principal at our local school and he offered you a place there.
Wow, thank you, that's amazing. The next morning, I woke up bright and early. I was so excited to be going to school. When I arrived at the school gates, the principal was waiting to meet me.
You must be Tom. Welcome to our school.
Thank you, sir. Standing beside the principal was a boy about my age.
This is Adam. He is going to show you around.
Hi, Adam.
Hi, Tom. Come with me.
Adam was really nice to me. I'd never had a friend before, so it felt really good to have someone to laugh and joke with.
So, you really lived on an island all by yourself?
Yes, I did.
Wow, that's so cool. I wish I could live on a desert island.
It can get pretty boring being on your own, though.
Yeah, but I bet it was so much fun.
I guess so.
That's the bell for class. Meet me at the canteen and we will have lunch together.
Okay. The morning flew by, and before I knew it, it was time for lunch. My mom had packed me a lunchbox, so I took it out of my bag and went to meet Adam.
Here, Tom, over here.
I went to join Adam at his table. There were already a few other kids sitting there. They were all munching away on sandwiches and pieces of fruit. I was excited to see what my mom had put in my lunchbox for me, but when I opened the box, all that was inside was worms. When the other kids saw what was in my box, they all stopped and stared. One of the girls let out an almighty scream.
Why have you got worms for your lunch?
I was confused and didn't know what to say. Luckily, Adam saw my face and jumped in.
It's just a prank. Of course he doesn't eat worms.
I gave Adam a grateful look and whispered, "Thank you."
Humans don't eat worms, you know?
I was so confused. If people didn't eat worms, why had my mom given them to me? She must have known that everyone would freak out when they saw them. Why would she do that to me? As soon as I got home from school, I went and confronted my mom. Why did you give me worms for my lunch? People here don't eat worms. As soon as I had finished speaking, a strange look came over her face and she started acting really deranged.
You're a fish. I caught you in a net, so you must be a fish, and fish eat worms.
But I'm not a fish, I'm a boy.
Of course you're a fish. You were in the water and I caught you in my net.
As I sat there listening to her ranting, I realized that she was obviously crazy. I knew that I had no choice. I had to get away from her. I just remembered I have to, I stood up and ran to the front door.
Where are you going? Come back, my little fish.
That was the final straw. I ran out of the house as fast as I could. I had to get away from her. I ran towards the port, her chasing after me, but I was younger and faster than her. I managed to get onto her boat and start the engine before she reached the port. As I sailed out of the port, I could see her jumping onto another boat, and before long, she was following me. Oh my God, she's crazy. I was really scared. I didn't know what she was capable of doing. I pushed the boat to its limit, but it was no use. Her boat was bigger and faster, and within a few minutes, she had caught up to me. She pulled alongside me and started trying to throw a fishing net over my head. What are you doing? You're a psycho.
Come here, my little fish. I'm gonna take you home.
I dodged this way and that, trying to avoid being caught by her net. I told you, I'm not a fish.
Yes, you are. Don't deny it.
Somehow, by weaving my boat from side to side, I managed to avoid being trapped in her net. Eventually, I saw my island in the distance. If I can just make it to the island, I'll be able to escape from her. No one knows their way around the island as much as I do. I will be able to hide from her. As soon as my boat reached the shore, I jumped out and ran into the jungle. I could hear her footsteps right behind me. How is she keeping up with me? I emerged from the jungle and ran to the edge of the cliff. Now what am I going to do? I turned to face her, my heart beating 10 to the dozen. That's when I saw it. In her hand, she was holding a butcher's knife. I was terrified. What is she going to do?
Now that I've caught my fish, it's time to make sushi.
The next thing, she lunged at me. I quickly dodged to the left to avoid her knife. I watched as she went sailing over the edge of the cliff. I could hear her scream getting fainter and fainter until it finally disappeared altogether. I looked over the edge of the cliff, but all I could see was the ocean below. Phew, what a relief. She's gone. I made my way back to the shore and jumped back onto the boat. As soon as I got back to civilization, I went straight to Adam's house. He looked a bit surprised to see me standing in front of his door.
Hi, Tom. What are you doing here?
Can I come in, please?
Sure. What's happened? You look as white as a sheet.
It's a long story. Adam's mom made me a cup of tea and I explained everything that had happened to me.
Oh my god, what kind of person feeds a boy worms?
I thought everyone ate worms until Adam told me differently.
Why no, we most certainly do not eat worms.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't go back and live on the island by myself. Not now that I've had a taste of living a normal life.
Of course not, don't you worry about anything. You can stay here with us for as long as you want to.
Really?
Yes, really.
Thank you so much. That's so kind of you.
Now, Adam, why don't you go and show Tom where the spare bedroom is? You should get some sleep now. You have school in the morning.
I lay on the bed staring at the ceiling. And even though I was so happy to be there and I was so grateful to Adam's parents, I couldn't help feeling scared that my mom might appear from nowhere, brandishing her butcher's knife in her hand. Woodley High was my kingdom. I ruled and conquered everything and everyone in my way. It was expected of me. It was my duty. Modesty was never an option for me. I was good at everything and I knew it. They all knew it and loved me for it. Even those who hated me still respected me. I was the basketball captain and everyone's choice for homecoming king. College scouts were begging to have a minute of my time. I was every girl's high school dream. I was the envy of all my peers. Those who were not my friends wished they were. I was on top of Woodley High's food chain. I was unstoppable. This is the story of how I lost my kingdom and how a simple promise of fame and prestige made the 3 hottest girls at Woodley High fight over me. Want to know who won? Stick around and find out. Hi, Han, what's up?
Hey, are you free tonight? Dad's in town and we're having a good luck dinner for him before Saturday's game. I'm calling to invite you.
I'm free, but are you sure he wants me there? I mean, he's the basketball coach at Greenfield High. They're our biggest rival team in the state, and we're playing them in the championship final on Saturday.
Of course he wants you there. You're my childhood friend, and that's more important than a game. Come on, it'll be fun. Plus, you might learn a thing or two about his tactics.
Well, if you put it like that. Okay, I'll be there. See you in an hour. 2 hours later, dinner was served. At the table was Hannah, her parents, and me.
So, Asher, you guys ready to lose on Saturday?
Haha, nice try, Mr. Davis. We're ready to win. Your team doesn't stand a chance.
Confident, I like it. May the best team win. See you out on the court, son.
I can't wait for this game to be over already. I hate having to choose between you and Dad.
After dinner, we were in the den watching TV. Hannah's mom looked like she'd burst into tears any minute.
Mom, what's wrong? It's nothing for you to worry about, dear. It's just that the school is looking to replace me as coach for next season. The only way I keep my job is if I win Saturday's game. What? But you've been their coach for years. They can't just fire you, can they? I'm afraid they can, dear. I have to win the championship or I'm out.
Hannah's mom was full on sobbing now, her dad rubbing her shoulders lovingly. I felt like I was intruding a private family moment, so I said my goodbyes and left. Later that night, my phone rang and I checked to see it was a video chat request from Hannah. Hi, Han. How's your mom? I'm sorry I had to leave. I thought I should give you guys some space. How are you?
It's okay, Ash. I'd have left with you, but my parents needed me. Mom's sleeping now, but I can hear Dad pacing upstairs in their bedroom. I don't know what to do. I'm worried about him. I overheard him say that we might lose our house, and I may not go to college.
Are you sure? I didn't know things were that bad. I wish there was something I could do to help. I'm so sorry.
He may not lose the game anyway. I know that would mean you losing. This sucks.
If losing the championship means your dad gets to keep his job in the house and you get to go to college, then it's not such a bad outcome. I can live with it. A day later, as I stood with my team waiting to play the biggest game of the year, maybe even our lives, I made a decision. I decided to help Mr. Davis win the game by throwing the game. I missed free throws, I missed passes, I committed deliberate fouls, and lost the championship to Greenfield High. After the game, I ran to the locker room and called my mom and confessed.
You what?
Except it was not my mom behind me. It was my teammate, Carl.
Please tell me you didn't actually lose us the biggest game of our high school careers?
Carl, He didn't wait for me to finish. He punched me right in the face and walked off. That day, I had walked onto the court a hero, a leader, and a warrior. I left a villain, a pariah, and the most hated person in all of Woodley High. I was no longer king. People crossed to the other side when they saw me walking their way. My girlfriend Erica broke up with me in front of the entire class. I was stripped of the captaincy, and college scouts withdrew the scholarship offers they had offered me, and some of my teammates. My grades took a dive. My life became a nightmare.
Months later.
Asher, hey! Mind if I join you? You can even have some of my food.
Erica had not spoken to me since the breakup. Erica, what are you doing? Are you sure you should be talking to me in front of your friends?
I'm sorry. Senior year has been so busy, and I've barely had time to socialize. But I'm here now. We're still cool, right?
Cool? You basically ghosted me after humiliating me. You blocked me on all your social media accounts and your phone. You moved your desk away from mine, and you walk the other way when you see me at school.
What was I supposed to do after what you did? It was either that or go down with you. Please tell me you understand and you forgive me. Please, Ash, I miss you.
All right, sit. What do you want?
I want to be friends again. I know we might never get back together, but we can still be friends. We could hang out at school and do whatever you feel like.
This was too good to be true. Okay, I'll think about it. You better not be up to something.
Great. I've sent you friend requests on all my socials. This is fun. Yay!
What just happened? The afternoon classes were uneventful, except for a few winks and smiles from Erica. When the last bell rang, I hurried out of class before she could catch up with me. Something about the whole thing did not feel right. I was running through the school parking lot when I bumped into someone, literally. My books and papers went flying right out of my arms.
Asher, are you all right? I'm so sorry. Let me help.
I was in a squatting position trying to retrieve my books before the wind got them. I looked up at the sound of the familiar voice. Ashley? What? Ashley was the head cheerleader and one of the hottest girls at school. She and I used to run in the same social circles, although Erica never liked her. Like Erica, she'd barely looked my way this year.
Actually, I'm glad I bumped into you. There's a party this weekend at my dad's beach house. We're even planning to light a bonfire. Will you come? I'd love to have you there. It's on Saturday. I hope you remember how to get there. If not, give me a call. See you.
I was now sure I'd somehow hit my head and woken up in an alternate universe. It was almost dark when I arrived at the beach house.
Ash! Oh my God, you came. I'm so happy to see you.
Ashley threw herself into my arms and almost tackled me to the ground.
What on earth is going on here? Ash, what are you doing here?
Erica stood watching us, hands on her hips.
Back off, Jerican. Asher is my guest. You had a chance to ask him to attend with you, but you didn't. You snooze, you lose. He's with me tonight.
We will see about that. And my name is Erica.
Erica grabbed my hand and yanked me away from Ashley's arms. Girls, I'm not looking for trouble, so I think I'll leave.
I'll leave with you.
No, he won't. You leave. You're no longer welcome here. Come on, Ash.
I had seen enough. I turned and walked back to my car, then drove home. So much for having friends again. On Monday morning, Lisa, the student body president, summoned me to her office. It was more of a closet than an office. Hi, I'm Asher. You asked to see me?
Have a seat. So, how has senior year been treating you? I know you've been having some challenges. Have you decided where you want to go to college?
It has been quite an adjustment, but I'm surviving. To be honest, I might not go to college. My grades are not so good lately, plus I doubt there's anyone willing to write a recommendation letter for me.
That's sort of why I called you here. I may have a way to help you get accepted to a few colleges. As the student body president, I'll personally write you a recommendation letter. I could also get the principal and the basketball coach to write you letters too.
Slow clapping sounds came from behind me.
Well, well, well. Abusing your office, Liza? That's if you could even call it that. If Ash needs a good word put in with the coach, I'm happy to do it. I can even get him back on the team. Or did you forget that I'm head cheerleader?
Get him back on the team, please. Your job is to look pretty, cheer, and clap for others, Ashley. Leave the actual work to me.
Whatever, livid Liza. I'll be in the gymnasium waiting to actually introduce Ash to the new coach, not sitting in my closet of an office making empty promises.
How dare you?
I was on my feet and out the door before this turned into another screaming match.
Asher, wait. We're not done talking. I need to help you.
She needed to help me? Throughout the week, Ashley and Erica sat next to me in class. During lunch, they fought over who'd carry my tray. Erica even offered to carry my books to and from class. I have to admit, it was a little flattering. Okay, a lot flattering. I was feeling like my old self. I even started to look forward to going to school again. But as with every fairy tale, my newfound happiness didn't last. I was naive to think it would. I got home from school one evening and found my brother Nate preparing dinner with Mom. Nate, when did you get here?
Baby brother, it's so good to see you. Come here.
Nate scooped me into his arms and spun me around. He always did this whenever he came home after being away for months at some fancy location shooting a blockbuster movie. My big brother was a famous movie star. Geez, put me down. I'm not your baby brother anymore.
You'll always be my baby brother, and I'll always look out for you.
After dinner, Nate and I were watching television when his phone rang. He declined the call, but not before I saw the caller ID. It said Erica Woodley High. Nate, why is my former girlfriend calling you? Are you two involved?
No, what do you take me for? It's nothing, Ash. Forget you saw or anything.
Fine, if you won't tell me, then she will. I'm calling her now.
Don't. I'll tell you everything you want to know. I bet you've had quite an interesting week at school, right?
How do you even know about her? Nate, what did you do?
2 weeks ago.
OMG! You're Nathaniel Jeffries. You're like so famous.
Well, I rolled my eyes. Why did I think it was a good idea to attend a high school party?
Hey, gorgeous. I prefer Nate. Nathaniel is for my parents when they're really angry with me. You must be Ashley.
Ashley was practically bouncing on her feet.
I can't believe you're at my party. Guys, everyone, look who...
I'd rather people don't know who I am. Can you keep a secret, Ashley?
Of course. My lips are zips.
Zipped.
Huh? Whatever, Jerrican.
Erica turned to me, effectively dismissing Ashley.
What are you doing here, Nate?
It's my party. Duh. I get to ask him that question.
I'm here on assignment. I'm here because of Asher.
Ugh. Loser Asher? He's like a loser.
Erica shifted uncomfortably.
Well, after what happened last semester, someone decided to make a movie based on Asher's story, and they've asked me to play Asher's role.
Well then, you came to the wrong place. He's not here. Maybe try the dustiest corner in the school library.
Shouldn't you just call him? I mean, he's your bro-
I will. I wanted to talk to you girls first. The show producers want to start filming after graduation. They've asked me to pick one of Asher's friends to be in the movie with me.
Good luck with that. He no longer has friends. Even Little Miss Perfect here broke up with him.
I know that. That's why I have an exciting opportunity for one of you girls.
Yes.
Erica rolled her eyes.
I love your enthusiasm. How would you girls feel about starring in the movie?
OMG.
Erica feigned disinterest, but I knew she was definitely interested. So this whole week, they thought they were auditioning for a movie?
Yes, I told them that to audition, they needed to befriend you and spend time with you in and out of school. Someone from the show would be observing their interactions with you until the end of the semester, then pick one of them to be my co-star.
Nate, please tell me there's no such movie being made.
Of course there isn't. I'm just in town to research a role I got in an upcoming movie. I'm playing a high school football captain. It's the reason I was at Ashley's party.
What about Liza? Was she also auditioning when she offered to get me into college?
Yes and no. She overheard me at Ashley's party and approached me at the party later. She wasn't interested in befriending you, but she offered to get you the recommendation letters in exchange for a job on set during filming.
Why did you do all this?
To help you, of course. I thought you could use a few friends, and who better than the two most popular girls at school? Lisa was just an added bonus. Is it working?
If by working you mean I no longer have a single moment to myself, then yeah, it's working.
Isn't that a good thing? You don't look happy. I expected a little more gratitude.
I'm grateful, Nate, really. I know you were just looking out for me. And in a way, you did help. I finally realized that I don't need to be popular anymore. I like my life just the way it is now. If it's alright, I'd like you to call off the girls, please. As for Liza, I sure could use those letters, but not under false pretense.
I'll call them off right now if that's what you want, Ash. As for Liza, I'll get her a temp job on the actual movie I'm researching for. I'm sure that'll be enough, and she'll still get you those letters.
Nate dialed Erica's number. Monday is going to be a very interesting day at Woodley High.